Hello again guys, welcome back to another Big L Devlin video here at the House of Devlin, and today's video is going to be a video about memory loss as a whole. And I'm doing this video purely to help those who care for people, as well as those who suffer from memory loss, from all types of sources. Okay, but I'm doing it really primarily for those who care for other people who have memory loss, so that you can get an insight onto how the people who forget things, how frustrating it can feel for them, how terrible they can feel by having such a poor memory. Now, there are a variety of sources for memory loss, such as Alzheimer's, for example, dementia. These are typically illnesses that you associate, obviously, with old people, but you can also gain memory loss from, infections of the brain, like meningitis and stuff like this, but also from trauma. And I suffer from memory loss. I have basically a very heavily affected what's called a working memory. This means my short-term memory is almost non-existent. It does exist, but it's not good. It's very, very poor. I have to make a massive effort and sort of, there's ways around it, obviously, to try and cope as best as possible, but you're dependent on others when you have a very poor working memory to remind you on doing things there and then, so to speak, or in the short term. My long-term memory seems to be intact. I did lose it for a long time, but never to the point where I forgot who I was or anything along those lines. And my source of memory loss was a car crash where I received a huge blow to the back of the head, and at the time I lost pretty much all my memory I didn't even know I'd been hit by a truck or anything like this, but I literally just knew that my girlfriend was in the car and that she was hurt, and that I lived in the city of Birmingham. I didn't know where in Birmingham, didn't know nothing. I couldn't remember, and my name. I could remember my name and who I was, but I couldn't have told you much more than that, because I was questioned, obviously, to see how, at the time, by the person who got me out of the car. But that's not the focus of the video. The focus of this video is, as I say, to give an insight to people out there who do have to help people with poor memory, or for people out there who are in a similar situation to me, to let you know you're not the only one to suffer. And sometimes that helps, but it doesn't really help, because you still have to live every day with the trauma that you exist with, and the trauma of your condition. The condition is traumatizing. It really frustrates you, but I can at least share with you some of the methods that I use to help me cope. It doesn't work all the time, but for most of the time it does. And then at the end of the video, I'll give you the worst times I've had with my memory, the most recent period, which was a week last Friday, and yesterday, where my memory seems to be really degenerating in a very strange way. And I'm hoping that it's not going to be a regular thing, because if it is, it's going to make things very, very difficult for myself to accept it. I don't know what to do. I feel lost. I was in tears yesterday, absolutely tears over it. I broke down in front of my dad. Well, not in front of my dad. My dad rang me at the time and I was struggling, and I just broke down in tears. I got angry in front of my girlfriend, not at her, but at the world, and headbutted the wall a couple of times, hoping that the wall would kill me and stuff. I mean, it gets heavy, and some of you who have experienced, obviously, maybe parents with Alzheimer's, dementia, and when they have a good day and they suddenly realise that they're losing it again, you may have seen some things such as this, and or if your husband or girlfriend or whatever or child has gone through trauma like myself, or as I said, had their brain affected by meningitis or stroke or anything along these lines, and are going through similar things, and you'll I'm sure have experienced similar, if not identical, things as myself and my family. But this video is, I'm hoping, something that will at least show you that there are people out there like myself who are happy in their life, know that there's happiness ahead of them, that there's a golden era of happiness ahead of them, and regardless of how hard things get, will battle on and fight on, if needs be, to the end, but will fight on to achieve and maintain that happiness, and at the very least, hopefully, act as an example to yourselves, as an inspiration, to be able to deal with such shitty life circumstances as it is. So typically for me, my memory most of the time is at a certain level. This is the level that the doctors see, okay? Because of course the doctors only tend to come see you, or you go see them, one day out of every several months or whatever. I've only been seen once for my memory in 2.5 years, okay, and had it officially assessed, okay, for insurance purposes. No one really knows how to do it. It's a rare speciality to be able to assess memory. And so, am I going to be at my worst one day out of 2.5 years, 2 years, roughly, when it happened? Probably not, especially as I've only been at my very worst about 4 times during those 2.5 years. Chances are they're going to see me on an average day, which is good for them, but they don't also see just how bad it can really get also. And so it's skewed towards the good side of things that they see. Even so, despite the fact they saw me on, a good day, the doctor's report said that I had, minor brain damage. Or I do have brain damage, which means that there's part of my brain that is going to be dead, and will never regenerate. And it's because it's been 2.5 years now since the crash. If there was to be any repair work done, it would have happened. If there was going to be any regeneration or new pathways formed, it would have formed within those 2.5 years that has passed. But there hasn't. And so consequently, I must, understand really that this is as good as it's going to get for me. Things may progress, it may get worse, but what I received was not a degenerative condition. I do understand that it's not Alzheimer's or dementia or anything along those lines, but it could be the straw that breaks the camel back, and at the end of the day lead to an early onset of Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's or anything along those lines, okay? Especially as there is a family history of Parkinson's in our family. So it's something that is in the back of my head and I'm worried about. And we'll get on to really the fears that people feel in my position later on, because it's scary to be in a position where your memory isn't working. It's scary to be in a position where things aren't working the way they're supposed to work. It's scary to think that it could get worse and you have no answers as to how it's going to progress. The prognosis, I haven't been told. Luckily, I was trained in medicine, so I know what the prognosis relatively is, but I haven't had any of the test results to look at. I've just had a doctor's report saying that I've got brain damage. That's hence why I know nothing's going to get better. It could only get worse. But what are the chances of it getting worse? Well, I need more information, and it's just not given. It's a shame. I think sometimes I have greatest respect for doctors, obviously, but sometimes they forget that they're treating people. They're not treating textbook examples, not treating insurance for the purposes of insurance. They're treating because they're treating a person, and they've got to try and make that person's life that little bit easier. That seems to be lost in all the visits that I've made to the doctor so far. The 6 doctors that I've seen so far. On an everyday basis, I will always forget something. The first thing is I forget to eat. And this is the most important thing, because you need to eat to live. On top of that, for some reason, I don't have an appetite. I never feel hungry. This is a sort of byproduct of something else. This is maybe because of the brain damage. It may be because of something else. I don't know. I don't understand why I don't get hungry, but I just don't. And sometimes I do kind of get hungry, or know I need to eat, because obviously you're getting dizzy or you're feeling weak. You're getting essentially the side effects of hunger. Of not eating, but I just don't want to eat, even though I know I need to eat. It takes a massive effort on my part to actually go and eat. I don't want to do it. So I become dependent on family members to make me eat. If they were to prepare a meal, bring food into my room, for example, and leave that plate with me and go off and do their own thing, I won't eat it. I would throw it away and say that I eat it. And I don't know why. I don't know why I would do that. Or I would just leave it and go, no, I wasn't hungry, I tried it, but I've had as much as I can. And I wouldn't maybe have 1 or 2 bites, but then just leave it. But as a result, it makes it even harder on my family. When I eat, I have to eat with them, or have to eat and be watched whilst I'm eating to make sure that I eat all the food that's in front of me. At Christmas, my girlfriend bought me a wonderful gift called a Fitbit Blaze, and it's wonderful. And it has helped quite a lot. So this is something that I recommend for people who are in a position where their memory affects, oh, have I eaten or not? Or they're not sure, okay? And they're trying to, they don't want to eat too much to get, say they do feel hunger. If you forget whether you've eaten or not, it's easy to get fat and overweight. But if you're like me, it's easy to lose weight. I mean, at my biggest, before the crash, I was 19 stone 2. At my lightest, after the crash, I went down to about 17 stone 8. So I lost a reasonable amount of weight, quite a bit, and I didn't have any fat to lose. I train 5 to 6 times a week, so I am, don't have that much fat to lose. So it was obviously muscle that I was losing, and I did get weaker in the gym for a short period of time. I've since recovered from that, and as I say, it's by having my family help me, and they were helping me well enough, but eating once a day, when my mum finishes work, going over to hers when I lived alone, or now that I live with her, waiting for her to come back and make me food. Eating once a day is not good enough. I've got to eat 2-3 times a day, just like everyone else. And having the Fitbit helps to some extent, because when I was putting my calories in and I was working out that I was only eating 1,500 calories, yet my body burns. Even if I did, when I as a test one Sunday, I literally just stayed in bed all day, did nothing, did the minimum. Got to put every now and then, but I did the absolute minimum, and I realised that I was burning 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day just lying down doing nothing. But when I'm doing my work, when I'm doing, just normal everyday activities, and when I'm training, I will burn anywhere between 4,000 and 6,000 calories a day, depending on how active I am. 4,000 would be the minimum that I would burn, but I typically burn between 5,000 and 5,500 calories. But typically, my average is 5,000 calories. Okay, so I've got to eat 5,000 calories to maintain body weight, and I found out I was eating 1,500 calories a day. That was it. So yes, I was eating enough to survive, but I was not eating enough to maintain body weight. And I did lose weight. Towards the end, I lost weight quite quickly. At first, it seemed my body seemed to resist it. It seemed to resist it quite a lot, but then it was starting to give up towards the end, just before Christmas, and I was losing weight every week. I was losing weight, and that's when I realised what I was doing was a failing mechanism. With the Fitbit Blaze now, I can target my memory. My memory is, yeah, I must have had breakfast. But if I check my Fitbit, I will always log it in immediately as I'd have it. I can go, no, I haven't had breakfast. Okay, I need to eat and have breakfast. I've still got to get over that fact that I don't want to eat. But at least now I haven't got the memory as a reason to not eat. Before I would just go, yeah, I must have eaten. It's my memory playing tricks for me. Okay? Of course I've eaten. I would never have forgotten breakfast. But now with this, I can't argue with myself. I go, well, no, I haven't eaten breakfast. So really, I need to catch up with that meal. And what I do, luckily, I work very close to where my girlfriend lives. And I will go down there and she helps me as well as my mother. So or if her family's around, they'll help me. And so I will eat. I'll go down. I will go to someone who I know will make me eat. I'll make my own food. Got no problem doing that. But typically they will make me some food, or I'll make my food and then I'll eat. And at least then I know I've eaten. And then I'll go back to work or go get prepared myself for my next session of work or whatever. And I will, as a result, eat at least 3 times a day now. And I'm actually managing to eat most of the time the amount of food that I need to eat. But it takes technology and family together to do that. It takes technology to tell me that I need to eat. And it takes willpower from myself to go find someone who I trust. And hopefully for them to then give me their time for me to then eat a meal with them. Because even then, if the meal's placed in front of me, I'll only eat half of it at most, and I'll just get rid of it and go, yeah, at least I've eaten now. I've eaten something. But then, if I'm only eating half my meals, then I'm still deficient by 2,500 calories. So I do require a lot of time from my family, and they do care for me in that sense. But this is a great way to fight memory problems when it comes to eating. However, obviously, this is probably not something many people suffer from when it comes to memory, because they'll have their body tell them when they're hungry. I've lost that ability to know when I'm hungry. So you combine the two, there's no motivation to eat whatsoever, and it doesn't matter whether I remember to eat or not, there's still no motivation there. So that's the issue with myself. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, or any of the people that you care for experience that. That to me is one of the problems. But a Fitbit Blaze or an equivalent, Garmin I think do them as well, but they're a bit more expensive, is perfect for that. It is perfect for helping you keep an eye on the amount of calories that you're eating. Okay, and if you're overeating, for example, because you've forgotten that you've just had some food and you think, well, I'll have a bag of crisps or something, this is a great way to help prevent overeating also. The other thing is, I will always forget where I put things. If I put something down, like my mobile phone, my keys, my wallet, things that are important, I will immediately forget where I've put it. If I walk off into the other room, someone says, can I have, you owe me £10, So let's say I just put my wallet down and they say, oh, you owe me £10. I go, okay, oh, and I'll check, oh, I haven't got it, oh, I must have put it down. But then I won't know where I've put it down. Part of me will think, have I lost it whilst I've been out? Have I left it at the gym? Have I dropped it on the road? Is it in the house? Is it in my girlfriend's house? Where is it? I don't know. And so you before, when things like this happened, you would be able to track your steps. You go, right, well, hang on a minute. I walked in here, and the last time I remember having my wallet, I actually remember having it in the house. And I was in the lounge. I can't remember quite what I did with it, because memory's never 100% perfect. But I know I was in the lounge, and I went into the lounge of the house, so it must be there. It has to be. So you go in there, you look, you find it pretty much straight away. But with me, because I have no memory of what I've done at all during the day, I don't know, I can't trace my steps, I can't track them, I can't go back and think, yeah, that's where it will be. The options of where it could be are almost infinite, because I won't remember what I've done during most of the day. I'll know that I've been down to the gym. I know that I've been perhaps at my, obviously that I woke up at my parents and stuff. I know that whether or not I've probably visited my girlfriends and stuff like this, and obviously I'll know where I am at the time, because I'm not mindless. Of course, I'll know where I am. But when I last remember having my wallet on me, that's a whole different ball game. And it's something that I can't work out. I can't do it. And so what I do is combat that, is I create habits. So I habitually place my wallet, my phone, my keys, the things that are essential to functioning in life. I will place them in the same place every single time. This includes placing them when I go outside on the exact same body part of me every single time. So in my left trouser pocket, for example, I'll have my mobile phones, my business, my phone that I use for my clients, my martial arts clients, my business phone essentially, and I'll have my family phone. I'll have my keys. Okay, in my right pocket, I'll have my wallet. Okay, and then if I have anything else, like for example, if I have an important note, like a shopping list or anything, I'll have that in my inside pocket of my jacket, if I've got one, or in the pocket of my hoodie, if I'm wearing a hoodie, okay? And so I keep to this, and I never change it. And if I change it by mistake, let's say I take the wallet and put the wallet into my hoodie pocket instead of my trouser pocket, when I go to get my wallet, I panic. I'm like, oh shit, where is it? And I'll start patting myself down. And sometimes you don't always feel it. That's the problem. You don't always find it straight away. And that's when you start panicking. I've lost my wallet. I've lost my wallet. And it's a problem. It's a problem. Luckily, because I do have two phones, one for, as I say, business purposes, and one for family purposes, if I lose one phone, if I put it down somewhere stupid, I can always ring my phone using my other phone. That's something that I do a lot. I ring my phone using the phone that I haven't lost, and often it'll be right next to me, and I won't even notice, or be somewhere simple. It's always a simple answer. It's never complicated, but your mind panics because you can't remember anything, and because you can't remember anything, the problem, instead of being this big, becomes this big. It's a massive, huge problem. And your panic sets in. I've got PTSD as well, so it complicates things. Your panic sets in, and that sets off your PTSD, and you start just breaking down. Other things, obviously I work as a martial arts instructor. I have to keep to appointment times. I have to sometimes do other things as well, obviously that require appointments, like going to the bank and stuff like this, paying bills, so on and so forth, or putting my wages into the bank and stuff. And I can forget, and I have to have the way that I get around. I can't remember a date or a time for the love of money. I don't even know what year it is half the time. I don't know what year it is now. I think it's 2017. But Hang on, let's just check it. No, there you go. It's 2019. That's the advantage of having phones these days, because they've got so much information. So it's 2019. I thought it was 2017. I have no idea, but for some reason I can't commit to my head what year it is. I just don't know what year it is. I don't even know the month or the day. Let's check that again. February the 15th. There we go. It's February the 15th. I should have known. See, I should have picked up on the cue. Valentine's gift. Okay. So I should have known it was near February the 14th. But there we go. So I can't remember dates and times at all. Can never commit them to memory. Sometimes I get it, but most of the time I don't. I don't know what day of the week it is, and I'm not even going to go back onto there to find out what day of the week it is. I don't know what day of the week it is. Thursday, I think, is it? So I think probably a Thursday. So I know it's the end of the week, but that's all I know. Okay, and this is for most people, you could go, well, it's manageable. It's not too much of a problem. You've got your technology, as you've seen. You've got your watch that's digital and can tell you things. You've got your phones, stuff like that. But I tell you what, when you go to the hospital or a clinic or anything like this, or anywhere where you've got, like the bank, for example, where you've got to date forms, it is so embarrassing. Because you panic. You don't want to have to ask the person, oh, what's the date, please? And they'll say, oh, yeah, it's the 14th of February or whatever. And you go, yeah, okay, so what's the year? It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And the problem is, let's say you've got 4 sheets to fill in. You'll fill in the first sheet and say that if they take it from you, thank you again, if you fill in the other 3. If they leave it there, it's not a problem, because you can just copy what you've written on one sheet onto the other. But if they take it away, my working memory is that shit. It's literally seconds. That I would have forgotten the date that I've written on there. And so I'll have to go back to my phone again to check the date. Okay, and write it down. They take it, and I'm like, oh, get my phone again, write it down. Like, or ask them every time, one of the two. Either use my phone or ask them every time, what's the date? And you have to do that with every single form you sign, unless, of course, as I say, they leave it down there, but you're still referencing something. But it's embarrassing. I find that highly embarrassing as a 31-year-old male, not being able to remember for the time it takes to fill out 4 pieces of to sign 4 pieces of paper. I can't remember the date long enough to sign all 4 of those pieces of paper. It's embarrassing enough not remembering for the first one, but at least if you check it, okay, yeah, that's the date, and I could fill out all 4, it wouldn't be as bad. But I can't fill out any of them, and that's bad. It's annoying. Yes, it's manageable through technology, but it's embarrassing, and it's frustrating. And this is the important thing. It's frustrating when you lose your things, when you don't put them where you're supposed to put them, because everyone's subject to that. As I say, you have to become a creature of habit, and so you put things down in the same place every single time. But every now and then you'll put them somewhere different, or someone will move them. Someone will come in and move them, for example. If they don't realise that they're there for a reason. And when that happens, it's a major panic. Having to check the date and the time and not knowing the year or anything like that all the time, getting it wrong. Sometimes you get it right, but most of the time you get it wrong. It's highly frustrating. I'm trying to remember the third thing that I had. I might pause the video just to go check. I've got notes. Trying to remember the third thing. I mean, that's one thing that I didn't write down is when you're in conversation, sometimes you'll forget the conversation topic. It's not often that will happen, but I've spoken for 30 minutes now, so I've kind of forgotten what I'm talking about. I'm just going to check my notes to see what this video is about and see what the third and final thing is. I'll just pause it. Alright guys, yeah, so the video is about memory loss, isn't it? And the third and final thing is what you do is you don't just have like credit card numbers, things like this. Like digital pins and passwords to go on the internet and stuff like this. Everything is passworded these days. Everything is. Either one, you don't have a security lock or PIN code on your phone, for example, because unless you can remember it, you're not going to, what's the point in having it? I seemingly can remember the shapes. I'm better at remembering shapes than I am dates and times and numbers and words and stuff. So I have one of those ones where you draw the shape, and I can do that, and I have that for everything. I have it for both phones, and every time it's practiced every time. It's repetitive. I'm constantly locking my phone and doing it, so it becomes sort of a repeated memory, so to speak, so I can remember that for some reason. I don't know if it's repetition or because it's a shape, but I can remember that. But everything else, like your logon details for your internet banking or anything along these lines, I physically have to write it down. I write everything down. I write it down digitally in my phone. So I write it into my phone. I have every appointment that I have almost in my phone. I tell my mom when I'm working, what days I'm working, and appointments. I ring her once a week, or every now and then. Say, look, I've got for definite clients on this day, this day, this day, at this time, this time, and this time. If you can, send me a text 30 minutes before, just to make sure that I remember that I'm going there, because having it on my phone is not good enough, or having it written down is not good enough, because I've got to remember to go check my notes. And I will, like in the morning, I'll check my phone religiously. I'll check my notes religiously to see what I've got for the rest of the day. And I'm like, okay, I've got an appointment. But if that appointment's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, by the time 4 o'clock in the afternoon comes up, I may remember, but the chances are, most of the time I'll forget about it. And so I need that sort of secondary backup, that little extra buzz 30 minutes beforehand, and I'll get ready and do things. The next annoying thing, and as I say, what I have to do is write down all my codes, all my important things, which is bad for security, but I have to write it down on my phone so that if I'm out, I've got access to it. I write it on both my phones in case I misplace one of my phones, right? And on top of that, I also have a physical copy. I write it down in a notebook, and I keep it on me in the property where I live. In fact, I've got 2 hard copies of everything. I have one in my girlfriend's place, and I have one in my parents' place, so that I've got access to the information I need whenever I need, depending where I am at the time. Most of the time, obviously, I'm at my parents', but occasionally I might need it when I'm at my girlfriend's. And so I have to have that information there, and it's never moved, it's never taken, it's never separated. Okay, it's always kept together, kept where it's supposed to be kept. Frustrating to have to do that. Frustrating, and that's the point I'm making. This frustration can build up. And when you have a really bad day, the days the doctors don't see, where your memory goes really bad. Last Friday, I've had two bad days. I've had four bad days now since the crash. So 4 days in 3 years. I'm not complaining. Well, 2.5 years. I'm not complaining. Okay. That's 2.5, 3 years, something like that. Anyway, that was in the crash. What are we talking about? 3 bad years. Yeah, so having 4 bad times when my memory's been really bad over whatever number of years it was, it doesn't. It's not frequent. It's not too bad as a result. Obviously, if this was every week, it would be really bad, and I wouldn't want to live. I'd be frank with you. If it was like that every week or every day, even every month to some extent, it makes things horrific. Because all these frustrations from the little things stay there. And then you get the frustrations from the days when it goes bad, really bad. Last Friday, I thought I was in 2016. Genuinely thought I was in 2016. Like at the moment, yeah, I thought it was 2017. But I know everything that's happened. I know that I've been in a car crash. I know that my girlfriend's been put in a wheelchair. I know that she lives in a bungalow, and I live with my parents now. I used to live in a 3-bedroom house. Things like this. I know everything that's happened since the crash onwards, and I know that mass majority of stuff that happened before the crash. Some bits I can't remember, but it doesn't really matter. Most of the stuff I've forgotten. It was bad stuff, to be honest. So it's like, yeah, I might not know the day all the time, or the date and the year and stuff, but it doesn't matter because I remember events that have happened. But last Friday, I forgot everything that's happened since roughly 2016, so just prior to the crash. A few months prior to the crash is essentially what I reverted to. I'd lost memory of everything. Since then, we've had a dog. Since then, my girlfriend and me don't live together. I mean, she had her own flat at the time, but she spent most of the time at my place. So she, that I had at the time, and so I went out, and I tried to get into where I used to live. Tried to get into my home, which is not my home anymore. It's someone else's home. Tried the key, obviously, I've got rid of the key or whatever, but I was trying all my keys to try and get in the house, and I thought, well, Lawrence just texted me saying, what are you doing? Why have you just left the house without saying goodbye? Obviously, I'd left her house. I'd gone and visited her, but in my time, at that time, I thought, well, I'm outside. What you talking about? Basically, I'm slamming on the window, and luckily no one was in. If someone was in, I probably would have been quite aggressive. Like, why are you in my house? I probably would have thought they were a burglar, And then I got a phone call from my dad, and it was just out of the blue. It weren't related to what Lauren was sending to me. I thought she was having a joke. I said, oh, Lauren's having a joke at the moment. She's telling me that we've moved house. I'm just trying to get in. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, I said the name of the road. I go, I'm trying to get into the name of the road. And goes, oh, you haven't lived there for a long time. What are you talking about? What do you mean I haven't lived there for a long time? I've lived here for about 3 years, haven't I? 2-3 years so far. What are you talking about? I haven't lived here for a long time. Of course I have. And he goes, no, you don't live there anymore. Your girlfriend has a wonderful bungalow. You live with us, okay? You were in a car crash 2.5-3 years ago. You bumped your head, and you sometimes get this. Your memory goes, okay? You forget things. You forget everything, okay? But it will come back. You don't need to worry. Your memory will come back. And I'm like, are you having a fucking laugh? And obviously Lauren, my girlfriend, had been texting me virtually the same stuff on the phone. I'm thinking, hang on a minute. She's telling me this. He's telling me that. This is either some really sick fucking joke, or it's real. And of course it was real. And I was like, I was in a crash. Okay. Well, I look alright. 10 fingers, 10 toes. Okay, I got bumped to the head, whatever. Okay, so, okay. That was my injury. And of course then I asked, well, how was Lauren? Was she in the crash? And my dad said, yeah, she was in the crash. And I go, was she okay? I go, I think you best ask her that. Okay. But he said, what do you want? Do you want me to come and get you? Or do you want to go to Lauren's? Because she always keeps you calm when you're with her. She calms you down really well. I go, I want to see Lauren. At this point, I was worried. I was worried for what state Lauren was going to be in. I was in a car crash and my head's all fucked up, so what's she going to be like? So I text her and I say I'm coming back. I've just been given the address. I know where it is because I know Birmingham really well. That's where I live, the city where I live. I know it really well. So I went to the address that my dad gave me. He gave me the wrong house number, but beyond that, I texted Mum Lauren going, "Why aren't you answering?" She goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I'm not 91." And she goes, "No, about 81 or whatever." Oh, right, okay, my dad didn't give me the wrong address. I thought it was happening again. So anyway, I go to the right house, and she's there. And obviously, the first thing I notice on the driveway is a people carrier with an electric wheelchair inside of it. So I knew things weren't going to be great. It's a bungalow. And I know me and Lauren hated bungalows. We didn't. We always used to say, "Well, if we ever move, where would we never live?" The first thing would be a bungalow. We never wanted to live in a bungalow. It's for old people, innit, and sick people. So I'm thinking, shit. Yeah, I go in, and she's sat on the bed. I just sit next to her and I just hug her, and we talk it through, and eventually my memory comes back, and I said, "Listen, I don't care if you're paralysed or something. I don't know. Do you need me to carry you into the lounge so we can talk or whatever?" Or whatever it might have, was said between us. And I said, "I don't care. I love you regardless of whatever injuries you've had." They weren't pleasant. And it makes you frustrated because it makes you feel like a burden to people. It makes you feel that you are... I always see myself as someone who should be looking after my family, enriching them, strengthening them, giving them things that, making opportunities for them. And I do. And the fact I do that despite these issues that I have it shows you that the strength of willpower that I have. Because it would be easy to give up. It would be easier to give up, but I ain't not gonna give up. I'm a warrior. I have a warrior spirit. I'll fight to the bitter end. I don't care about me. It's about them. Family before anything else. Family and clan before self. I will suffer whatever I have to suffer to make it so that they prosper, but when you get to this point where you feel that you become a burden to them, it makes you feel, maybe I shouldn't be around no more then. If I'm a burden to them, I'm draining their resources. I'm not talking about money as such, although it could be that. Obviously, in certain people's, if you're in a home or whatever, but you start thinking that I'm a burden to them because emotionally, psychologically, I'm draining them. And then I can't remember when it was. Yesterday, whatever day yesterday was. 5 days after the last event, I start to get in my head, it's almost like my memory, if I can make it pictorial to you, metaphorical, because there are no real words to explain it until you've been in it. I'm there, and it's like my memory is an oil painting, okay? And in that oil painting is everyone I know, their faces, everything, the locations. And it's as if there's a fire, or there's a great heat behind the painting or near the painting, and the oil in the paint begins to melt and drip, and you start forgetting where the paint melts. You forget what that is. There's something there, what it's supposed to represent almost, but you can't visualize it. And so you start forgetting. I forgot my girlfriend. I forgot her face. I forgot who she was. I forgot my mum. I forgot my dad. And it was brief. It was only a brief period. But I could feel my memory melting away. And as it was coming back, you remember it losing the memory, and you remember it melting away. And you just think, especially with the week before being such a major incident and this happening again so soon, and with all those minor frustrations that you have to deal with on an everyday basis of tolerating, having to have fucking everything written down, having to rely on people to make sure you eat, it makes you feel like a dependent. It makes you feel like all your independence is gone and that you are a burden upon your family. It makes you angry and it makes you frustrated. The anger's directed at no one. It's not even directed at yourself. It just makes you angry. And it makes you suicidal. It makes you not want to live because you feel, if this is what I'm putting people through, what is the point of me? I'm here to make things easier for those I love, not things harder, you know? And with that frustration, and then you just, I just remember shouting, I just don't want to live anymore. Why did I wake up in the crash? Why couldn't I just stayed in the darkness? Why couldn't I have stayed in what I saw, you know? Why did I have to wake up? And it's minor weakness because that experience of going through a fatal or near fatal experience has strengthened me no end. I've gone through a lot of shit in my life and I understand that life don't give you fuck all. You might be privileged. Some people are privileged and get things handed to them on a silver plate, but the only fucking way you can make things and achieve things and keep those things, or at least be able to reattain them if their life ever decides to take it away from you, is to go out and work hard and get it yourself, to grab life literally by the balls and make it give you what you fucking want, no matter what. And that's what I do. I make life give me what I want because I go out and I work hard, I work towards goals, and I take it step by step in manageable levels, and I'm working towards an overall long-term goal. So I'm strong in the head. I'm strong in the soul. I ain't going down without a sword in my hand, so to speak. I'll go down fighting, metaphorically speaking, you know. But there are moments of weakness sometimes. In even the strongest of statues, there are cracks from time to time that need filling. And yesterday was a crack. A crack appeared in this psyche that I've built up that can take a lot. And I just wanted to cease existing again. In front of me was a wall. So I headbutted it 3 times, as hard as I could. And I didn't do that out of frustration or anger, even though I felt angry and frustrated. I didn't punch that wall for the purposes of just letting rip like some people do, putting a hole for the wall in anger, for some reason. I never respected that. I don't like to do things like that. I don't think it's clever or intelligent or anything like that. I think get a grip of yourself, control the anger, use it to spur you on to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. If something's failed, doesn't matter. Pick yourself off the ground, dust yourself off, make it happen. Okay? And if it's failed, and that's it, then move on to the next thing. Move on to the next chapter of your life, if needs be. You know? But I did it because I wanted to die. And that only way I saw killing myself was to have a headbutting competition with the wall and lose. Fortunately, I won. I'm hard to kill, and I headbutted the wall. Maybe did a bit of damage to it. Easily fixed, but it's. And at that point, I just walked out. And I just knew I needed time to myself. And then, and that's a strange coincidence. A phone call off my dad, just asking me how my training went this morning. I went to the gym, but what happened was I went out and I knew I needed to be alone, so I drove out and kept myself to myself to think things through, to work my mind back into where it needs to be, put all the cogs and wheels back into place. And then he rang. I cut him off. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wanted to be alone. Cut him off 3 times, and the 4th time he called, I answered it. And I knew I couldn't handle it. I said, I can't talk to you at the moment, Dad. I feel really bad. My memory's bad. I can't talk. I can't deal with it, okay? He really said something, and I just remember I burst into tears and just told him everything, and I've just told you, essentially. But he got it off my soul, and he taught me back into sense, which is what I was trying to do by being by myself. Taught me back into being, seeing things in the way that it should be seen. Tell me things ain't gonna get worse. Stop thinking about my his dad, who had Parkinson's, severe Parkinson's. Because my fear, one of the reasons you act the way you do, is when people act out like that when they do have memory problems, is because they're terrified. They're terrified that they're going to develop things like Alzheimer's or dementia, or things are going to get worse, and they're going to. I just said to him, I said, I'm so afraid of forgetting you, of forgetting Lauren, of forgetting Mom, of forgetting my family, and forgetting who I am. I don't want to forget that because I'm happy, but I don't want to forget why I'm happy. I want to remember this happiness, and I know I've got a lot of happiness ahead of me, yeah? But I don't want to forget the people who make that happiness for me, because if I forget them, I'll be able to live in hell. And that's the fear for most people, is that they fear forgetting the people they love, and they fear forgetting themselves. And I suppose that's all I've got to say about it. It's a fear that I have to live with, but it's a fear that my dad said to me yesterday. He says, you can't live in fear. You've just got to say, that's not going to happen to me. You continue through life and you make sure it doesn't happen to you. Now, there's nothing I can do to make sure of that, but nonetheless, I just continue to look after myself, continue to strive. So I said to him, I said, it's why I train so hard. I said, the reason I train so hard is because the one thing I never forget is the discipline that I've had my entire life. I've been training since I was 5, martial arts. Then when I was 16, I picked up, 15, I did a little bit of resistance work, but when I was 16, 17, I started picking up weightlifting. By the time I was 19, I was seriously into my weightlifting. And so, for the last 26 years, I've been training, and I've had that discipline that training gives you, the discipline of diet, the discipline of waking up at a certain time, the discipline of looking after your body, the discipline of not drinking, the discipline of or if you do drink very much in moderation, and the discipline of just your general lifestyle, the discipline of managing your time, and the discipline of hard work. That discipline is something I've never forgotten, because it is the very fabric that is me. And so that's why I train in the gym 5-6 times a week just for myself. And then I'm a martial arts instructor, so I train other people. My body is battered blue sometimes, with the training that I do, and I'm tired, physically tired, but I do it because it's the one thing I never forget. It's the one thing that is constant in my life. And so my last piece of advice before I ring my dad back and have a word with him about my workout that I had today is, which is nice, having that, that is what helps keep me grounded. It's part of the thing that keeps me grounded. The main thing is my girlfriend, my love for her. I never forget my love for her. Even when I didn't remember who she was, I still felt love for her. And I was confused. Yeah. But if you're in that position, or you've got someone you care for, find something that is in the very fabric of them that they can never forget. Find something in them that they relate to on a permanent level. And it will give them something to do on a daily basis that will make them feel like they're in control. Because that is what is scary. It's the fear of not knowing what's in the future. As I say, for me, it's the fear of Alzheimer's, the fear of dementia, the fear of Parkinson's, developing it in the future, and in the early future, having it at an early age, potentially. It's that fear that scares me, but that fear comes from me not focusing on the things I can do, that discipline. But when I focus on my discipline, when I focus on the now, the here and now, I haven't got time to worry about the future. That's my only real advice I can give. I hope it helps you guys. I really sincerely do, because living with it, I mean, I'm 31 now, and I was in the car crash when I was 28, and I've been dealing with it for 3 years now. I've only just turned 31, so two and a half, 3 years I've been dealing with it, and it's been hard. It's been hard, but it's doable. It's doable. You can fight it. I believe in you. Okay? I believe in myself, and as an extension, if you're in a similar position, I must believe in you as well. Makes sense, doesn't it? If I can believe in myself, being able to battle this horrible affliction, then I must believe in yourself also, or believe in your loved ones, that they can battle it, that they can fight it and maintain as much as possible. I believe that. So thank you guys. See you now.